In this video, I'm going to talk about how to measure the impact of everything you do. Authors have a unique business model because many things we do can't always be measured. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't track what you're doing. Authors on the whole don't tend to be number focused, and that's okay. Numbers aren't everything, but they are important because they make sure you're asking the right questions. Because at the end of the day, you're either making money or you aren't. As a business person, you need to know all the important numbers of your business, and you need to be able to analyze them. In this video, I'm going to talk about the different metrics that you can use to track your business. But before we do that, remember that you first need to establish your own goals and what you want from your business. Everyone has different reasons for being an author, so it's important to know what yours is before you start looking at your numbers. Otherwise, you'll be wasting your time. Let's talk about book sales first, because every author knows their book sales, right? You don't have to worry about that. I guarantee you know how many books you sold today. However, let's dig into this a little more. Most authors focus on how many books they've sold, but that's not a very important metric if you think about it. Because if you sell 20,000 copies, but half of those come from 99-cent promotions, then it's not an accurate picture of whether readers are buying your book at full price. But you still need to know that number for other reasons. It's better to track how much money a series is making you and what the return is. For example, if you paid $1,000 to produce book one in a series and you sell $300 worth of books, then you have a 30% return on your investment. If you make $3.50 per book sold, that means you need to sell roughly 285 copies to make your money back. And that's not counting 99-cent promotions, right? When your series is complete, think about it as a single unit that's making you money, not the individual books. The reason for this is because if you have a series starter, such as a discounted book one or a free book one, then chances are your book one may never hit its profit goals, right? Books 2 and 3 are going to make up for that. So it makes more sense to think about everything as a single unit that's making you money instead of each individual book. Trust me, that'll make things easier when you're looking at your returns and when you're doing your accounting too. You also need to know the conversion rate of your series. For example, how many people who purchase book 1 go on to purchase book 2? You divide the number of people who bought book 2 into the number of people who bought book 1. That's how you get that number. You do the same thing with books 2 and 3, 3 and 4, etc. There's no benchmark here though. Compare your numbers against yourself, not other people's. Those are the most important metrics you need to know when it comes to your book sales. Don't overthink them because they're simple. There are a lot of things you can track, right? You can track, where your books are selling on, how many books you're selling on Amazon, how many books you're selling on Amazon ES, France. To me, that's madness. Just focus, pay attention to how many copies or how much you're making on each retailer every month. But really, your key focus should be how much money your series is making you every month across all retailers. Let's talk about another area you want to measure, and that's your email list. Obviously, a bigger list is a good thing, assuming that the people on your list are engaged, opening your emails, and clicking your calls to action links. But let's talk about some metrics here. Your open rate is the number of people on your list who open your emails. There's no official number as to what constitutes a good open rate, but it's usually tied to industries. Your click rate is the number of people who click on the links within your emails. This is always going to be lower than your open rate, and email marketers have been trying to figure out for years how to improve click rates. Anything over 20% usually is probably pretty good. Know what your rolling average is. Anytime you have an email that performs above or below the average, that's when you want to pay attention. Don't worry about your unsubscribe rate. Doesn't matter. As long as you're doing your due diligence and providing valuable emails, don't be concerned that people are leaving your list. This just means you'll have better open rates and click rates in the long run. Of course, if you're seeing consistent unsubscribes, though, it might mean that there's something wrong with one of your emails. So it's a number to glance at every now and again, but don't lose sleep over it and don't let it have power over you. Far better to have a smaller, more engaged list than a big and disengaged one. Next, let's talk about promotions because this is an important one. Too many authors try to quantify their promotions in terms of sales. But here's the thing, there are other ways to track promotions, and some of those ways are actually more helpful and will give you a better picture on how your promotion campaign is going or how it went. The first is sales, but it's not the end-all be-all. If you have a 99-cent promotion with BookBub, the goal really isn't to maximize your sales. You're not going to make very much money at 99 cents. The goal is to maximize your visibility, or in other words, reach or exposure. Because when your book skyrockets up the charts, it's going to become more and more visible to a huge number of people who you hope will visit your product page, buy your book, and be exposed to your brand. If that book is the first book in a series, though, and the sequels are full price, then you have a situation where you're measuring reach and sales, which is why we talked about the conversion rate earlier. But if you have a standalone book and you're running a promotion to maximize sales, I think you've missed the point. Maybe you're promoting a nonfiction book For example, maybe you're promoting a nonfiction book about cancer awareness, and you want people to take photos of your book and share it on their favorite social media network in hopes of starting a conversation about cancer. You've got some reach there, but you're also looking for engagement, which is another element of promotion that you can track. You measure engagement by the number of likes and shares. Don't fall into the trap though. Likes and shares don't equate to money, and when you look at them alone, they don't mean anything unless you've got a lot of them, meaning thousands. But even then, that doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. But if you tie them to other elements of a promotion, they can help you provide social proof, which is an invisible element that can help you maximize sales and reach. Maybe you don't care about sales or reach. Maybe you care more about making sure that your community is engaging with your content. If that's your goal, then maybe you do things like create links from your book that lead to a secret landing page on your site, or you start hashtag campaigns, that sort of thing. Maybe you start a Facebook group, or maybe you run a remarketing campaign to really spur your engagement. That's getting a little into the weeds, but just know that engagement can also be another important element of a promotion. Another way to measure promotion is with reviews. This one's pretty simple. You run a promotion, sell X amount of books, and get X amount of reviews. Your review rate is the number of new reviews you received during the promotional period divided into the number of books sold for the promotional period. Your total review rate is the total number of reviews you have divided by the total number of sales. With that number, you can reasonably estimate that, for example, if you have 1,000 sales and 100 reviews, that you can expect 10% of buyers to leave a review in the future. This number is usually pretty accurate, so it's a good number to know. And there's a final element in promotions that you can measure, and that's email list signups. No need to cover that there. So next, let's talk about your website. With author websites, particularly with fiction, there really aren't that many metrics you need to know. The first thing I would focus on is the number of visits you're getting over time. Next thing I would focus on is what pages are being most visited, because those are the pages you want to optimize either with a sign up or with links to have people buy things, right? The next thing you want to focus on with a website is where your traffic is coming from, and you can access all of these stats on Google Analytics. So if you don't have Google Analytics, it's a very good free plugin to install on your website, or just set up an account so you can find out where your traffic's coming from. And then the last thing I would pay attention to sparingly, because it's not really something that is going to make or break you, but look at your bounce rate. Your bounce rate is the percentage of people that are coming to your site and then leaving. If that's really high, maybe you want to pay attention to your site. Maybe that tells you that you need a redesign. If it's really high on certain pages, maybe there's an element on those pages that isn't working for certain readers or isn't rendering properly on mobile devices, that sort of thing. So you want to kind of look at your website through the lens of, is this working or is there anything broken? Other than that, unless you're a nonfiction author that's selling products on your site, or if you're blogging, I really wouldn't pay too much attention to what's going on your website, because I think that's a trap that a lot of authors fall into, and they start working on their website and then they don't do anything else. Your website should be your calling card. Keep it as simple as possible so that you can keep the metrics simple. But when you're really thinking about it, focus on other things. So that's just a crash course in quantifying everything that you're doing. Just make sure that you know what your numbers are, you know what your basic numbers are, and that you're not losing sleep over this stuff. Remember, numbers aren't everything, but they will help you make better decisions. That's it for this video. If this is your first time watching, I'd love to have you subscribe, and if this video helped you in some way, do me a favor and click the like button. Thanks for watching.